Play a certain bright piano tune in Japan, and something unusual can happen. A child in a schoolyard, an office worker in a uniform, and an older neighbor in a city park may all know what comes next. Arms up, bend forward, twist, reach. In about 3 minutes, the whole routine is over. But the strange part is not that Japan has a famous exercise. It is that so many people learned the same tiny choreography, often without thinking of it as special. This is radio taiso, and the secret is that it is less like a workout trend and more like a shared public language. Radio taiso literally means radio calisthenics. The basic idea is simple: a short set of rhythmic movements guided by music and spoken counts. The best-known version, often called Radio Taiso No. 1, takes roughly 3 minutes. It is not designed to look dramatic on camera. There are no complicated poses, no equipment, and no special clothing required. That is exactly the point. It was built to be copied by a crowd. Whether the crowd is a classroom, a factory floor, a neighborhood association, or a few people stretching under trees before the day gets hot. Watch the movements closely, and you can see why they travel so well. They are broad, symmetrical, and easy to follow from a distance. Arms swing in arcs, knees bend gently. The torso twists left and right. The routine wakes up the shoulders, back, hips, and legs, without asking people to drop to the ground or compete with each other. For a visitor, it may look almost too simple, but simplicity is the technology here. Because the moves are modest, different ages and fitness levels can stand in the same space and still participate. In Japan, you might encounter radio taiso in places that do not feel like gyms at all. At elementary schools, it can appear during physical education, sports days, or morning gatherings. In parks, small groups sometimes form around a portable radio or speaker. At community events, it can become an opening ritual before the real program begins. The setting changes, but the mood is often the same: calm, practical, and lightly social. Nobody needs to introduce the rules for long. The music does most of the organizing. One of the most memorable places to see radio taiso is during summer vacation. In many neighborhoods, children gather early in the morning, often with a small attendance card. After the exercise, they receive a stamp or mark showing they came. For adults who grew up in Japan, that little card can be a strong childhood memory. Waking up while the air is still cool, walking to a park or shrine ground, doing the routine with neighbors, then going home before the rest of the day begins. It turns exercise into a seasonal ritual, and it teaches children that the neighborhood itself can have a morning rhythm. Radio taiso also survives because it fits the workday. Some companies and construction sites use it as a warm-up before tasks begin. That does not mean every workplace in Japan does it, and it is not magic protection against injury. But as a group habit, it has clear practical uses. It gets people standing, moving, and paying attention at the same time. On a job site, synchronized warm-ups can also signal that the day is officially starting. In a culture where punctual routines matter, 3 minutes can become a reset button. The name still matters too. Radio taiso began as something distributed through broadcasting, and broadcasts have helped keep it familiar. Public radio and television schedules have long carried versions of the routine, with instructors, piano accompaniment, and spoken cues. That broadcast format is important because it makes the routine feel shared beyond one school or one company. Even if people practice in separate homes, parks, or workplaces, they are following a common structure. The tune acts almost like an invisible meeting place. What makes radio taiso worth noticing is not that it is the hardest exercise in Japan. It clearly is not. Its power is cultural design. It is short enough to fit into a busy morning, simple enough to include beginners, and familiar enough to create instant cooperation. Many countries have exercise classes, school warm-ups, and workplace stretches. Japan's radio taiso stands out because it has remained recognizable across generations and locations. It shows how a tiny routine, repeated often, can become part of the texture of public life. So if you are traveling in Japan and you see people stretching together in a park, do not assume you have stumbled onto a private fitness class. You may be watching one of the country's quietest shared habits: 3 minutes of music, movement, and belonging. The takeaway is not that everyone should copy Japan exactly. It is that a healthy public ritual does not have to be big, expensive, or intense to last. Sometimes it only needs to be easy enough for everyone to remember. If your neighborhood had one shared 3-minute morning routine, would you actually join in?